That's why when President Marcos Jr., for the first time in Philippine history, said that the Philippine territory is regulated by the Treaty of Paris as that was amplified, clarified, and amended by the Treaty of Washington.
Yeah.
So, nabuo na for the first time.
Yeah.
This clarifies to the whole world, and that is factually, legally, and historically correct. That is our narrative. That is the correct story of the Philippines. Senator Enrile saying, wag na natin pag-usapan yung Scarborough. Hindi sa atin yan, squatter lang tayo dyan. That's outside the Treaty of Paris lines. That's not our territory. So, all of these narratives by these legal luminaries convinced China that Scarborough Shoal and the Spratlys are outside Philippine territory. And that's why when Foreign Minister Wang Yi in 2016, February 2016, before the arbitral award was issued, he spoke at the CSIS, that's the leading think tank in Washington, before diplomats from all over the world. He showed there the Treaty of Paris lines, showing the islands within the Paris of Treaty lines and showing Scarborough Shoal and the Spratlys outside. He said, see, this is the 118 degrees longitude of the Treaty of Paris. All islands to the West Philippine Sea, do not belong to the Philippines. All islands to the west of this 118 degrees longitude line of the Treaty of Paris. And so the Philippines has no basis at all in claiming. And in fact, the Chinese are quoting Estelito Mendoza. So this has created, some other writers in Western journals, and really it pains me to read them and say that we are a late claimant. We only base it in 1978. And if we base it in 1978, we're too late the hero, too late to the party, because China claimed it in 1947 in their China Handbook of 1947. So, these are all wrong.
Okay.
This narrative,
if I may,
as stated by Estelito Mendoza, Dean Bernas, and Senator Enrile, are factually, legally, historically false.
Okay.
Why? The Spanish garrisons in Cagayan de Sulu, Cebuto, Mapun Island, refused to vacate. They said, if you look at the Treaty of Paris lines, we are outside the Treaty of Paris lines because there was a mistake. In the Treaty of Paris, there were fixed coordinates, longitude, latitude of all the lines. So they drew the lines, and there were certain islands like in Cagayan de Sulu and Cebuto outside the line. So the Spanish garrison there refused to move. So they said, we are outside the treaty lines. So the Americans went back to the Spaniards, said, look, our intention was the entire Philippine archipelago should be ceded to the U.S. So let's clarify, sign a treaty again to clarify.
Washington.
The Spaniards refused. The Americans, after a long, acrimonious exchange of notes verbal,
So,
finally the Americans said, okay, to cut this short, we will pay you an additional $50,000 on top of the $20 million that we paid
To
for
move
the
the line.
islands within the treaty lines.
to move the line.
The Spaniards said, that's too little. So the Americans doubled it to 100,000, and the Spaniards said, agree, we will sign.
Okay.
So the second treaty was signed 2 years later. 1898 Treaty of Paris, 1900 Treaty of Washington.
Yeah.
There's only one article in the Treaty of Washington. Spain also cedes to the U.S. any and all islands
outside.
belonging to the Philippine archipelago lying outside the lines of the Treaty of Paris. So it included all islands of the Philippine archipelago outside the lines. So the question is, what are the islands of the Philippine archipelago outside the lines? Where is that document? Where is that map? We go to 3 maps. 1734 Murillo-Velarde map because it
Yes.
says that Panacot, that's Scarborough. It says that Los Baos de Paragua, those are the Spanish. The second, and that's an official map of Philippine territory as of 1734 because of the, you see that in the cartouche on the upper right-hand side, the
Justice, that's the map behind you, di ba?
yeah, that's it.
That's the map behind you.
Yeah. You will see here, the cartouche, that's the Royal Crown of Spain. That means it's an official
Yes.
map. Okay,
Yun, that's the map
that's
behind
it.
them.
That's the map.
The Velarde map.
Yes.
Yeah,
So-
the Murillo-Velarde map. Hague,
Yeah.
China said, we are not participating, but this is our position. Philippine territory is regulated by 3 treaties, as stated in the 1935 Philippine Constitution. Treaty of Paris, Treaty of Washington, and the treaty with the British demarcating our
Yes.
boundary in southern Philippines, between southern Philippines and British North Borneo. They mentioned the Treaty of Washington. So they're bound by the Treaty of Washington. They said Philippine territory is also regulated by the Treaty of Washington, but they did not read the text of the Treaty of Washington. So they said Philippine territory is regulated by 3 treaties: Treaty of Paris, Treaty of Washington, and Treaty with the British, and all these islands can only be found within the treaty lines.
Yeah.
They misread or did not read. They were misled by our legal luminaries. And that position paper under the law, that is a judicial admission, the highest form of admission. So they admit that our territory is regulated also by the Treaty of Washington, and that binds them. Is bound because China submitted this judicial admission to the Hague Arbitral Tribunal. China submitted an official document saying that Philippine territory is governed also by the Treaty of Washington. It's bound. That's the highest form of admission. A judicial admission is the highest form of admission under the law. So China is bound, Malaysia is bound, the US is bound, Spain is bound, UK is bound.
Justice, can China withdraw that submission?
Wala na.
Baka sabihin
already
niya
did it.
Bali todo.
And
Bali
it's not
todo.
only
Hindi pwede.
No, you go to the Chinese embassy website here,
Yes.
the Philippines, you will see the same statement. Philippine territory is governed by 3 treaties. They cite our
Yes.
1935 Constitution. It says that 3 treaties. You go to the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs website, the same. They also state there, Philippine territory is governed by the 3 treaties. So they in fact reinforced our claim without knowing it, because they did not read anymore the text of the treaty because they relied on our legal luminaries. They relied on Stelito Mendoza, Father Bernas, and Enrile. So they said, oh, these are the legal luminaries of the Philippines. Their territory is limited to the treaty lines. Scarborough Shoal and the Spratlys are outside. We're done.